Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybrook Family Farm. I think so many people, their lives are so busy that it becomes very difficult for them to remember that they need to take care of themselves. For me, that's been a huge struggle, especially since we bought this property, because it was just, even before that when we were living in a camper looking for land, and basically the last several years have been nothing but me working constantly and pushing myself beyond my limits physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually, of just, head down, running as fast as I can, just trying to plow through all these obstacles. And along the way, I've realized a lot of things, that I've been neglecting myself, that I've been neglecting things that bring me joy, that bring me happiness. And it's not just me, it's also my wife, Tracy. Like, we've been having a lot of discussions now and stuff recently about how we want this summer to feel differently than the last several bunches of summers. Because for a long time, it's pretty much just been hustle, 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 bust your ass, and just keep working and move forward and go harder, go faster. Just, it felt like no matter how hard I worked, there was still more work to be done, which there still is and stuff. And it just felt like I needed to keep moving faster and work harder and harder and harder, so then that way I can finally rest. But that's put me to a point of such extreme burnout that it's hard for me to even find enjoyment in life right now. It's hard for me to find fulfillment, to be excited about things, to even be looking forward for things to be coming in the future and stuff. I keep getting these little glimmers of excitement, and these moments where I get really oh, this is going to be exciting, or oh, this is going to, but then it just fades away so quickly. And it feels like every weekend we're just desperately trying to recharge ourselves, and instead of being recharged to even 50%, it's we're at 5%, and the low battery warning is still on for both of us, and we're just trudging through life and just barely making it through. And I'm primarily speaking energetically, emotionally, things like that. Financially we're doing okay, physically we're doing okay. Things are moving forward with the homestead, with starting the garden and stuff. Life would be much better if it stopped raining so freaking much, which right now we're supposed to get rain later today and then all day again tomorrow, so it's putting the whole garden thing really behind. But today I've been really grateful for the fact that I can't plant anything yet because it's so wet, because I'm man, this gives me a chance to actually just pick up some things, tidy up some things, and just try to recharge. So right now I'm actually sitting with my feet in the pond. It is very, very cold. It's actually kind of nice for me as a sensory thing to feel the wet mud and the sliminess and the slipperiness of it, while also the extreme levels of cold, because my feet were really hot. I was cleaning up basically goats waste a lot of hay, and there's a lot of mud here. Hold on, there's a loud truck, I'll pause it. I'm back. Obviously you guys can see that, you can hear me. It's been really hard for us lately, because it's everything feels like we just need to just keep running forward and running forward and running forward. Plus there's the component of fear. Even though I don't watch the news, I keep my head in the sand as much as possible, because it overwhelms me so much. Everybody knows that the tariffs are happening. Everybody knows that we're gearing up for a very hard time financially. And for Tracy and I, prior to us, selling everything that we had and moving into a camper and making all these crazy sacrifices to get to where we're at now, prior to that, we were barely making ends meet, living pretty much paycheck to paycheck, very much struggling, riding the struggle bus, being ran over by it repeatedly and stuff, so we understand what this is going to entail for a lot of folks, and it's going to be hard for us too. So that level of stress and stuff puts a big pressure on me. It puts a big burden on me to feel like I need to then produce even more for our family, even more for our community, and even more for others that I can then eventually help. And it puts a lot of stress on me. It puts a lot of pressure on me. And honestly, guys, I have not been sleeping well for quite a long time. Granted, I do have insomnia pretty severely. I've had that since I was, I would say, probably 2 years old, maybe 3. It's just the way that I've been, my whole life. I don't sleep well. But more recently, in the past several weeks, it's been every night in between the hours of 1 and 3 a.m., I wake up to nothing but panic attacks. I just lay there for an hour or more, just stressing out, heart racing, freaking out and stuff about stupid stuff. Today, this morning, it was last night, this morning, technically this morning, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I was freaking out, just panicking, because there's so much mud by the goats, and I'm oh my god, our property is so freaking wet, this is just so intense, there's so much mud, there's so much, And I just kept thinking, like, I just need to get up. I just need to go move some spent hay around and try to make it so it's drier so that way the goats don't get hoof rot and just all the parasite loads and all this stuff, just like all this worry, all this fear. And I flat out told myself, I like stopped dead in my tracks as I'm like letting my mind just race around with all the possibilities of how everything could die and how all this stuff is just crazy and difficult and hard. And I just stopped for a second and I'm like, you know what, brain? Shut the up. I was like, I am done listening to your shit. Like, I'm done. I need sleep. I need to rest. I don't care. These problems cannot be solved today. They can wait till later. They can wait till tomorrow. They can wait till it's daylight, for God's sakes. And so much stupid stuff keeps happening like that, where I just like start panicking for no reason. And like, this is what happens when you're a sensitive person. And this is why I don't watch the news. This is why I don't watch all them fancy pants clickbaity YouTubers that are like, we're all gonna die. I don't watch any of that stuff because it gets to me. I seclude myself from the world because it gets to me. But even in my little bubble of just, hanging out with the ducks and geese and the goats and the chickens and, all that stuff, it still hits me. I still feel it. I still am impacted by it and stuff. And it's really hard. So today I was going to, after I did go out and I did take care of all the mud. I'm going to show you guys the goose. Golly's right there. He's doing goose yoga. He's got one leg stretched out. He had a wing stretched out behind him and stuff. It was kind of neat. But anyways, so I did actually go out this morning after I got chores done. I did go ahead and I moved a bunch of spent hay so that way I don't have to wake up to that anymore. I don't have to be worried about that as much anymore. I moved a massive amount of spent hay into the goats area to shift it around so that with all the walkways and stuff to get out of the barn where it's super muddy and stuff is way less muddy. So I did do that. I usually try to do that whenever I have those big anxiety, wake up in the middle of the night, freaking out type of times. I do try to have that be the first thing that I accomplish after doing my normal morning chores, just so then that way I can be like, all right, I got that done. Like, I'm not going to wake up in the middle of the night tonight freaking out about that. There'll probably be some other random problem or something stupid that I wake up and I'm like, oh my God. But what I'm saying is, though, is that today, because it's not... Everything's too wet. It's too muddy to plant. I can't till anything up. It's going to start raining again this afternoon. I gotta get my feet out of the water. It is way too cold. My feet are like turning purple from it. But everything today just feels so chaotic and so overwhelming and stressful. So today I decided, you know what? I got my work done. I got my important stuff done. I'm gonna focus on doing something for me. So I'm sitting here in the pond, listening to the water, talking with you guys, because I feel like whenever I'm going through something, that there's probably somewhere else in the collective that is going through the same level of intensity. I think that, like people attract like-minded people attract other like-minded people. So I assume that when I talk with you guys that somebody is dealing with some stuff too. I just got distracted because the rabbit behind me there, she's due to have babies any day now. So I was like, what is she doing? She's actively trying to build a nest right now. She's got big wads of hay and she's piling it into the nest box and stuff, trying to get all of her ducks in a row, so to speak. But yeah, we've got babies coming out of everywhere. We had about, I would say, probably close to 20 chicks hatch out overnight that different hens were sitting on. We've had 12 baby bunnies born in the last couple of days. Obviously she's getting ready to have babies. We got a goat that's towards the middle of the month is supposed to have babies. So basically everything is just birthing forth in front of us. So it's kind of an exciting time. But anyways, I feel like whenever I'm struggling with stuff that other people probably are too. And I just want to remind you guys that sometimes rest is productive. And that's something that's been really hard for me to accept and to hear and to understand. I remember our first year here when we were doing all the farmers markets, and that was when we were making all of our money from the farmers markets, from our small business and stuff. I remember one of my customers, she had commented on a YouTube video, and I have no idea if she still watches or not. And if you do, thank you very much for reminding me of this. But, she had commented and stuff when I had said about facing burnout, and I was really stressed and overwhelmed. And she had said, don't forget self-care. And honestly, it triggered me at first when she said that, because I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like, I've got so many other things to do. I have firewood to cut. I have, a farm to create. I have all these things that I have to do in the business. I have, all these millions of things. And I'm just like, trying to get all this shit done. And for her to say that, and I was like, wow, really? You think that that's going to help if I just like go for a walk? Like, that's ridiculous. but I did it anyways. I put some headphones in and I walked down the road, and I was just like, I was in one of the moods where I was like ready to burn it all to the ground, and I was just done with everything and just so overwhelmed, so overloaded. And about halfway down the road, well, halfway through my walk, I walked all the way down to the road and came back. When I was about halfway done with the walk, I suddenly got so excited to come home. And like whenever I was walking away from the property, I was like, I'm never coming back. Like I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm so over it. But when I was about halfway home, I could hear our turkeys gobbling, and I could hear our ducks quacking, and just everybody was just so excited and just rejoicing and stuff about how beautiful their lives were. And when I got home, I had felt so much better. And like when I went to the market and stuff, I had thanked her the next time I had seen her for reminding me that I need to take care of myself. But in more recent times, I've been reminded of that instance, and I keep thinking back about how she had said that, and I keep going, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll rest when it's raining. But then when it's raining, I just work on house projects. Then I'm like, well, when it's nice out, I'll rest then. But I'm not doing that. I'm like, oh, well, it's nice out. I got to till the garden, or I got to mow, or I got to do this, or I'm going to paint the house, or I'm going to, all these things keep taking priority of actually allowing myself to recharge. And then I keep going, I'm so depleted. I'm so exhausted. I'm so worn out. I can't move forward. And it seems like everything that I once loved is turning into a burden and things that I hate. So yeah, today's a day that I am taking the time for me, taking the time to allow myself to recharge in ways that most people might not like. Most people might not like, having their feet just sitting in the mud right here, curling their toes and making little balls of mud in their toes and feeling all gross like that. But for me, this is how I ground myself. This is how I release burdens. I can't just, I've tried visualization of, like having bags on my back and then I'm setting them down, and that works for like 5 seconds. And then next thing you know, I'm picking them back up again. And I'm like, all right, got my burden backpack back on. Like, gotta keep carrying this load. But for me, it's really hard for me to release stuff. It's really hard for me at this point to recharge, because for so long, it's just been running on fumes and just forging ahead, barely, it's kind of like when you need to leave the house soon and your phone is almost dead, so you just charge it so that way you have enough energy, you have enough battery life to then get back from your trip or your adventure errand or whatever, and you're like, I'll just replug it back in whenever I get home. Then you get done unloading the groceries, you get done doing all this stuff, and then you're like, oh, time to go do this now, time to go do that, and then next thing you know, you're like, crap, I gotta recharge my phone again. It's one of those sorts of things where it's just nagging at you constantly if you don't allow yourself to recharge. And that's sort of where I'm at right now, of needing to just step back, even though this time of year is such the wrong time, because it's like I need to be planting, I need to do all this stuff, but I can't pour anything out of an empty cup, and I've been pretty much empty for quite a long time. So I'm actually gonna have to cut this video off, get my feet dried off so I can let Ross go back inside, because he's decided that he's bored standing there waiting for me to be done, and he wants to terrorize the ducks and geese, and Golly and the ducks really would like to come sit in the pond. So when I'm talking, they don't feel comfortable. Had I started filming after they were already in the pond, they'd be chill with it, but I'd like for them to have their time, let them recharge and stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.